It's a plan that aims to transform part of the heart of Austin, but the plan needs some help from the city. Why tensions with state lawmakers could make it a little harder to get that support. And as another serious storm hits the U.S. mainland, there are new questions about how to pay for the recovery from a devastating hurricane season. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to State of Texas. I'm Kate Wydaw in for Josh Hinkle this morning. It may take a long time for Southeast Texas to recover from Hurricane Harvey, but that's not stopping Houston from lending a hand to people in Puerto Rico. Pallets full of supplies like diapers, water, and medical equipment left Houston for the island that was devastated by Hurricane Maria. Leaders say while there is still a need in Houston, it's rewarding to help fellow hurricane victims.
We owe it to show the world that Houston gives back also, and we give back to any in need as the nation has done so for us.
In addition to supplies, equipment and manpower is being sent to help unload and distribute the goods on the island. But even as the aid from Texas moves to Puerto Rico, we are getting a clearer picture of the cost of recovery. And the stunning numbers raise new concerns that federal funds might not be able to cover all the costs. The shortfall appears to be staggering. So far, the federal government has approved close to $7.5 billion for hurricane relief. After visiting Puerto Rico, President Trump asked Congress to approve $29 billion more in funding. But all that money would be split among all the areas hit by Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria. State officials estimate the damage costs here in Texas alone will top $60 billion. And state lawmakers took their business from the Capitol to Houston last week. Members of the State House Committee on Natural Resources met in Houston to talk about how lawmakers can move forward with plans to prepare for future storms. Folks like Harris County Judge Ed Emmett are worried about the next flood and how to protect people in his community.
Now is the time to use this redefining moment and to come up with a water plan for the state of Texas, particularly for the Gulf Coast of Texas when it comes to flooding, that will save us in the future. And guess what? That's going to cost some money.
The chairman of the Texas Water Development Board said that the state approved $600,000 to develop a comprehensive water plan, a first for Texas. And joining us for perspective is State Representative Donna Howard, a Democrat from South Austin. You sit on the House Appropriations Committee, and while you guys aren't in session, is there talk yet about what funding needs are going to be out there?
Well, we did meet. The Appropriations Committee met in Houston, as a matter of fact, this last week. There's going to be a couple of additional meetings scheduled in the coastal area to hear from the folks in the area about what their needs are. We also heard from the agencies that are involved, and certainly we don't know what the bottom line amount's going to be. The numbers that keep getting tossed around are something to the tune of $150 to $200 billion. That certainly will primarily be covered by private insurance and the federal government, but there will be a cost to the state.
Yeah, and I know Governor Greg Abbott talked about tapping into the rainy day fund to pay for Harvey recovery, but where else will that money come from?
Well, that is probably the primary pot of money we're looking at, and it is something that is accessible to us. It's meant to help us in not only natural disasters such as this, but also in smoothing over ups and downs in our economy. In this case, there are some opportunities to use some of the cash that's currently available by just shifting some things around in the budget, but when we come back, we'll need to kind of fill holes, if you will. It's anticipated that we'll have a supplemental budget when we come back in January of 2019. This will be used to cover costs of the hurricane, as well as some other accounting mechanisms that have been used to balance our budget, such as deferral of payments, underfunding Medicaid. There's going to be a lot that we're going to have to cover. There luckily is a sufficient amount in the rainy day fund, the economic stabilization fund, that we think to get us through this. In fact, the comptroller has actually said so.
Okay, well, and we've already seen how hard it is to get funding for things like education, health care. Where are places you expect to see funding cuts to meet the needs caused by Harvey?
Well, I'm hoping we're not going to be talking so much about cuts. I mean, we have already got some money in place. The governor has given some of his disaster relief fund that he has control over to Houston. There's still more in that fund. There are certain agencies that have some funding already in place for situations such as this. The biggest problem we're probably going to see is with education, public education in particular, and perhaps higher education as well, but they suffered a huge hit. There are still a couple of school districts out there that are not even up and running yet. We have buildings that have been destroyed. There's going to have to be some double payment for students to keep the funds in their home school district, but also pay for them in the ones that they're temporarily visiting, if you will, while their schools are being rebuilt. The money that we expect to come from recapture payments from some of the districts that have been destroyed is not going to be coming in. Some of the property poor districts are going to need additional help with their buildings. So, you know, overall, the TEA commissioner has indicated right now something to the tune of $1.5 billion that he's anticipating at this point, and that is likely to grow.
Wow, that's quite the number. Speaker Strauss gave the House Appropriations Committee an interim charge to look for ways to use federal funds in an effort to reduce the impact of future natural disasters. What are some of those projects?
I think the primary things we'll probably be looking at is infrastructure. You know, we've known for a long while that there are some things that need to be done to prepare the coast, which is one of our biggest cost drivers and revenue streams for the state. You know, the fact is that Houston is the fourth largest city in the United States. It is a huge port. We are dependent upon that area for a lot of our oil and gas industry. So we need to be investing in making sure that we protect the coastal area because it has a lot to do with our strong economy. So I think infrastructure will probably be the primary thing we'll be looking at. Of course, we're going to be looking at housing as well. That's being funneled through Commissioner George P. Bush at the General Land Office. He's going to be responsible for that. But they expect that's going to take months, if not years, for those funds to come through to help these folks rebuild.
Wow. I kind of want to switch gears, talking about an opinion piece that you and Senator Kirk Watson had published earlier this week. The two of you are touting the benefits of a new Capitol complex plan. This plan will kind of transform Congress Avenue, the north side of it.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about that, because it's very intriguing.
It's very exciting that we're at the point of actually breaking ground on what's going to be a beautiful grassy mall that connects MLK to the Capitol. Instead of having streets and parking lots and that sort of thing, it's going to actually be a beautiful space, a public space, where we can have the book festival and all kinds of other events. It'll be very similar to the National Mall, that kind of a feel to it, connecting what's going on at UT, Waller Creek and the Medical Center, the Capitol complex in downtown, bringing us all together with a really great almost 4-acre urban green space. It's tremendous.
Yeah, we're looking at some conceptual drawings of it right now. And, you know, part of the opinion piece called on the city of Austin to give more support for the plan. City leaders already approved fee waivers and permitting changes. What else needs to happen to actually make this plan move forward, become a reality?
Well, there's always got to be some interlocal agreement going on here. When you have state government and city government that have common interests, if you will, and the city does have control over the easements, which we have to address in terms of moving utilities and that sort of thing. So really the primary stumbling block right now is how do we make sure that we can get some kind of an agreement that makes sense to both parties. And quite frankly, I think this, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer in terms of the gift that this is for the city and for city taxpayers as well. We're getting this urban green space. We're very excited right now about the public park opening up. This one is going to be more than twice the size of Republic Park. Public use for this public park. 4,000 underground parking spaces that can be used in the evening by the city. When we do the utility movement, we're going to be upgrading the utilities, so that will be at no cost to the city. The list kind of goes on and on about the benefits to the city. It's going to be a green building, just a place where families can gather. It's something that is going to be used by all kinds of folks, not only across the state who come to visit the Capitol, but the city of Austin. We get to use it all the time.
And lots of parking spaces.
And lots of parking spaces.
But, you know, no plan ever goes through smoothly. There,
Right.
of course, are always tensions between the state and the city.
Yes.
So how has that impacted the plan?
Well, I totally understand how the city is feeling a little bruised by its treatment by the legislature. I mean, we had real state overreach in this last legislative session, trying to limit local communities in their ability to make decisions for themselves. So I get that there are hard feelings here. But we have worked on these kinds of shared property arrangements for years and years, the state and the city have. This is a real win-win for everybody. This is not the place to have the fight. This is a good thing for the city of Austin. And those other things, we worked very hard, myself and other Travis County delegation members, as well as others throughout the state, to push back on that state overreach. And we were successful to a certain extent. That's where the battles need to be, not this one.
Yeah, when do you all expect to break ground, and how much is it going to cost?
That's part of the issue too, because we were supposed to have already broken ground. And the delay that we're in right now, trying to reach this agreement, is forcing us to delay the groundbreaking and delay the opening. That always means there are going to be increased costs that might be incurred here. So it's really of concern that we get moving quickly here, get this phase 1 project done. There's 2 more phases after this that we want to pass through the legislature, but this one can get started and be through, we hope, by 2021. The longer we delay, though, the further that gets pushed back.
All right, Representative Howard, we appreciate you waking up early on this Sunday morning,
Sure.
coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.